welcome to our April Going Deeper video. And I'm going to tell a really odd story to begin today. And it's a story that my wife's family took a kind of a bizarre kind of pride in talking about. That, her brothers were born less than a year apart. So she had, in the end, 3 brothers, and they were all teenagery age, I think 11, 12, 13, and big kids, they all wound up well over 6 feet. So, even as teenagers, they were rambunctious boys on the farm, and they got what I think if you'd asked any of them before Christmas, the best present they could possibly have gotten, a pool table. Now, by the end of Christmas Day, if I'm remembering the story correctly, one of the boys had broken one of the pool cues over one of the other boys' head, and he had to get stitches. They'd broken some stuff on with throwing the billiard balls, pool balls, at things, and been punished by their father, and their mother had a fit and canceled Christmas. And they, at the time, were like, "This is the worst gift ever," except in very cute and charming British accents, obviously. And I just always thought about that. And for some reason this morning, I was thinking about it in the context of the 3 principles. Not in terms of, what were they thinking that caused them to feel the way they felt, which they then tried to resolve by taking action in the form of hitting each other over the head with pool cues. Just in terms of how what is kind of the best gift ever can start looking like the worst gift ever. Like it wasn't even a gift. Like it was a curse. So we, us humans, have been given these 3 gifts. The gift of mind, the intelligence and energy of all life. Eat your hearts out, wise men. Right? This is the life force itself. It's cooler than whatever's in the tesseracts that in the Marvel movies that they're always chasing. Like it's the whole deal. It's not just a power source. It is the unlimited power source of the universe. Here you go, kid. Use it wisely. Oh, wait, it actually comes with an intelligence feature, which means that any time you don't know what to do, it will guide you. Anytime you let it, it will guide you through life. Well, that's a very nice gift, wise man number 1. What have you got, wise man number 2? Well, I may be taking this too far, and I apologize, but it's still early where I am. What have you got? Well, I'm glad you asked. I bring the gift of consciousness. What's consciousness? Okay, I know it's hard to explain. Consciousness is the power to be aware. It is our capacity for experience. It is what informs the senses and brings the world of form to life. Well, what does that actually look like? Well, what it looks like is the ability to see, the ability to hear, and then everything that can be seen and can be heard. The ability to feel sensations, pleasure and pain. The ability to speak, to communicate. And On Sundays, if you can get somebody to bake bread or you can figure it out yourself, it also kind of helps you smell, which is really cool. It's what allows you to understand, to not just experience, but to witness that experience. It is a perfect reflective surface. A non-stick frying pan that can cook up whatever's in it, but nothing sticks. It will reflect whatever's there, but it is unaffected by that which it reflects. You can hold it, you can play with it, because you can't damage it. No matter what you do to it, you can hit your brothers over the head with it. You can't damage it. It is perfect and whole. It is your nature. And when the form of your body is no longer here, it will still be as good as new. It'll be like, I don't know if you've ever gotten in a car and you go, oh my gosh, is this a new car? And they go, no. And it's just they keep the car so beautifully that it's like, it always looks like new. That's consciousness, but without the work. And then the third wise man in our increasingly implausible analogy goes, oh, almost forgot, I got one for you too. It's the gift of thought. Oh, what's that? Well, think about it, kid. It's the creative principle. It's the ability to act in, let's call it God's image, in the image of life itself. You get to use it to create. Well, what can I create? Well, let's start with heaven and hell. Well, how do I know which one I'm creating? Oh, don't worry, consciousness. You still got consciousness? Right. That'll bring the feeling of every thought to life. So you'll feel it in your body. And if you feel like hell, you don't have to think that. And if it feels like heaven, which, by the way, consciousness kind of feels like, I don't know if you felt it yet, but if you feel like heaven, well, then you're probably on the right track. Is that it? Is that all I can create with it? Is that it? No, actually it isn't it. You can also invent. You can invent pasts and futures. Well, why would I want to do that? Well, it's entertaining. And sometimes, if you invent a future in your mind, you can then go out and create it in the world. What? That sounds pretty cool. Oh, it is pretty cool. Oh, great. This has been fantastic. Thank you, wise men. Greatly appreciate it. How awesome is that? And yet, if we check in with ourselves 10 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later, 40 years later, 50 years later, as many years as you got later, does that still feel like the best presents ever? The best gifts you could have gotten at the beginning of life? Or do they not feel like gifts at all? Either because you forgot you've got them. I'm sure there are all sorts of things that you're very excited about getting as a kid, whatever holidays you celebrated, that you don't even remember now. Maybe something came to mind just because I was talking about it. Maybe you just forgot. You were given God's tesseract, the power of the universe, the power of life, the gift of life, the intelligence, the real-time guiding intelligence that comes with it. The ultimate capacity to experience as just part of your nature, and the power to create. The gift creation? And are you using those gifts to create heaven or hell for yourself and for everyone around you? And that's what we'll be exploring. I'll let Pepper trying to get in through the door be my cue to stop for now. And I'll see you in our next call. Bye-bye for now.